Last year, I pulled the cowling off a 2007 Suzuki DF 250 that a guy had just bought on a trailer in Fort Myers. Clean gel coat, fresh zincs, low hours on the gauge, looked like a steal at $14,000. But when I grabbed the drain plug on the engine holder and twisted, the aluminum crumbled in my hand like wet chalk. The entire exhaust housing was corroded from the inside out. He was 2 fishing trips away from a hydro-locked Powerhead and a $5,000 repair bill. On a boat he had owned for 11 days. That's why we cut engines open. These are 5 outboards from the last 20 years that look fine on the dock but fall apart on the workbench. And every one of them is sitting on a used boat near you right now. Number 1. The Suzuki DF series 2003 through 2010. Suzuki installed a steel drain plug directly into an aluminum engine holder on these outboards. Steel touching aluminum in salt water is galvanic corrosion 101. The aluminum sacrifices itself to protect the steel, and over a few seasons, the casting around that plug turns into powder. You cannot see it from the outside. The engine runs fine right up until exhaust water leaks where it should not. The mass airflow sensor throws a fault code and water ends up inside the cylinders. An aftermarket aluminum replacement called the gold plug costs about $15 on eBay. 10 minutes with a wrench. But Suzuki never recalled these engines, never acknowledged the flaw, and denied warranty claims for corrosion damage even within factory coverage. A $15 part the manufacturer refused to fix, and Powerhead replacements from the damage run over $5,000. But the Suzuki at least has a cheap fix if you catch it early. This next engine does not give you that option. Number 2. The Mercury OptiMax 2000 through 2005. Mercury took a direct injection system designed for motorcycles and small engines, licensed from a company called Orbital, and bolted it onto a big 2-stroke V6 marine block. The centerpiece is a belt-driven air compressor, and when that compressor's bearing seizes, it doesn't just stop working, it grenades. Metal fragments scatter directly into the intake tract and shred the powerhead from the inside. Pull the cowling on a failed OptiMax and the compressor wheel is wobbling on blown-out nylon bushings. In bad cases, the mounting studs shear clean off the block. Mercury eventually added extra mounting hardware, but the early 200 and 225 horsepower models are still hanging on transoms across the Gulf Coast. There's also a tiny diaphragm inside the tracker valve that develops an invisible pinhole. The engine stalls under load and acts like it's running out of fuel. You can chase that phantom for weeks before someone finally pressure tests the diaphragm. Compressor replacement runs $1,500 to $2,500. If it takes the powerhead with it, $5,000 to $10,000. But even the OptiMax compressor grenade isn't the worst thing I've seen on a teardown bench. That title belongs to this next engine, and it isn't close. Number 3. The Yamaha HPDI 250 and 300, 2000 through 2009. This is the engine that marine mechanics across Florida, Texas, and the Carolinas consistently rank as the single worst modern outboard ever made. The 3.3-liter big block HPDI has a design flaw so fundamental it's hard to believe it left the factory. It has no knock sensor. Every car you've driven in the last 30 years has one. Earlier Yamaha outboards had one, but this engine couldn't detect detonation, so when the number 2 cylinder started knocking, the ECU just kept firing until the piston melted. The oil pump made it worse. At cruising RPMs, around 3,500, exactly where you'd run a center console through coastal chop, the pump couldn't deliver enough lubrication. But the fuel system is where it gets truly criminal. 5 fuel pumps, at least 4 fuel filters, and 2 of those filters were never mentioned in the owner's manual. Yamaha only told the dealers. So owners were unknowingly running clogged filters, starving the engine of fuel, and the missing knock sensor couldn't catch the lean burn detonation that followed. One owner on The Hull Truth documented 3 powerhead replacements on a single engine with only 138 hours. 3 powerheads. And Yamaha's warranty procedure actually made things worse. because they had dealers transfer the old injectors onto the new block. If a bad injector caused the original failure, it just destroyed the replacement too. Powerhead replacement runs $6,000 to $8,500 per engine. Yamaha never issued a recall. If you're finding this useful, hit subscribe. I show what's physically inside these engines every week, so you don't have to learn the expensive way. Now, number 3 was the worst engineered engine on this list, but number 4 might scare you more, because there's a very good chance you already own one. Number 4, the Yamaha F-150 2004 through 2012. The Yamaha F-150 is one of the best-selling outboards in American boating history. It powers thousands of bay boats and center consoles from Chesapeake Bay to Galveston, and the first generation has a time bomb ticking inside it. The crankshaft-driven counterbalancer uses plastic and fiber gears, and those gears disintegrate over time. When they shatter, debris drops into the oil system, clogs the pickup screen, and starves the engine of lubrication. Camshaft bearings seize. In the worst cases, the powerhead is toast. Yamaha went through 5 design revisions trying to fix this, from the -0 through the -04 version around 2013. But here's what makes this one especially nasty. Low-hour engines that sit at the dock are actually more vulnerable than boats that run regularly. The balancer gears need consistent lubrication from engine operation to survive. Your neighbor's Marina Queen F-150 with 200 hours over 10 years is a higher risk than a charter boat with 2,000. Mechanics often just remove the balancer entirely. It smooths vibration, but it's not structurally necessary. Preventive replacement runs about $600 or $700. If those plastic gears let go first, the cost can be $2,000 to $5,000 for a powerhead. But at least Yamaha still sells parts for the F-150. This last engine doesn't even have that going for it. Number 5. The Evinrude Ficht 150 and 175, 1997 through 2001. The Ficht is the engine that killed a company. OMC's direct injection 2-stroke had a failure rate so catastrophic it contributed directly to OMC's bankruptcy in the year 2000. The small block 150 and 175 horsepower models are widely considered the worst outboards ever mass-produced. The water-cooled ECU, called the EMM, overheats and fries itself. Crack one open and you find corroded circuit board traces, blown capacitors, and burned driver chips. The injector mounting bolts snapped off, and at least 2 cowling fires were documented from raw fuel spraying across hot engine components. OMC recalled the bolts, but by then, the brand was finished. And the real problem for anyone buying one of these used is that BRP does not support any Ficht engine made before 2004. The EMMS are no longer manufactured. The only source is a handful of rebuild specialists, and you can't even get injector calibration data from BRP anymore. These are true orphans, and some sellers know it. They peel the Ficht decals off the cowling before listing the boat, hoping the buyer won't know what's underneath. EMM rebuild runs from $1,000 to $1,500 if you can find someone to do it. But realistically, the resale value on a Ficht-powered boat is close to zero. So if you're shopping for a used boat this season, here's what you check before handing over any money. Run the serial number through the manufacturer's recall database, pull the thermostat housing, and look for white crystalline buildup. Drain the lower unit oil into a clear container and check for milky water contamination, and know which generation of engine is on that transom. The difference between a 2006 F-150 with the original balancer and a 2014 with the revised one isn't visible from the dock, but it's the difference between a $700 preventive fix and a $5,000 disaster. That's what the dealership won't show you, but the workbench always will.